September 1975, Tyrrell Racing's workshop, England. Chief designer Derek Gardner walks into team principal Ken Tyrrell's office carrying a sketch. Ken looks at it, looks at Gardner, then looks at the sketch again. "You want to build a car with 6 wheels?" Gardner nods. 4 tiny ones at the front, 2 normal ones at the back. It'll be faster than anything on the grid. Ken Tyrrell, a man who'd seen everything in racing, thinks Gardner has lost his mind. But he greenlights the project anyway, with one condition. Don't tell anyone. Not the press, not the other teams, not even our own drivers. 9 months later, the Tyrrell P34 appears at the Spanish Grand Prix looking like something from science fiction. 4 front wheels, completely hidden behind the front wing. Rival teams are horrified. The FIA is confused, and journalists call it the most radical Formula One car ever built. The P34 would go on to win a Grand Prix, terrify the entire paddock, and trigger a regulatory war that nearly split the sport apart. This is the story of the 6-wheeled Formula One car and why it was too dangerous to exist. The problem: aerodynamics versus grip. To understand why Tyrrell built a 6-wheeled car, you need to understand Formula One's biggest challenge in the 1970s, the conflict between aerodynamics and mechanical grip. Front wings created downforce, but they needed to be wide to work properly. But wider wings meant the front tires stuck out beyond the bodywork, creating massive drag. Derek Gardner saw the problem clearly. If we could hide the front wheels entirely behind the front wing, we'd reduce drag and improve airflow over the rest of the car. But there was a catch. Smaller wheels meant less contact patch with the road, which meant less grip. The solution? Use 4 small front wheels instead of 2. 4 10-inch wheels gave the same contact area as 2 normal 13-inch wheels, but could be completely hidden behind a narrower front wing. On paper, it was genius. In practice, it was a regulatory nightmare. The secret development, even the drivers didn't know. Derek Gardner's first challenge wasn't engineering. It was convincing Goodyear to manufacture completely custom 10-inch tires that would only fit one car. Goodyear agreed, but only if Tyrrell kept the project absolutely secret until testing was complete. The team built the prototype in total secrecy. Jody Scheckter and Patrick Depailler had no idea what the team was working on. When they finally saw the P34 for the first time, Scheckter thought it was a joke. "I walked into the workshop and saw this thing with 4 front wheels. I genuinely thought someone was playing a prank," Scheckter recalled. But the car worked. In testing, the P34 was faster than Tyrrell's conventional 4-wheeled car, particularly through high-speed corners, where the reduced drag and improved front-end grip gave it a massive advantage. When Tyrrell unveiled the P34 to the public in September 1975, the reaction was pandemonium. Rival teams immediately accused Tyrrell of bending the rules. The FIA scrambled to check the regulations and realized there was no rule against 6 wheels. The debut: instant success and instant fear. March 1976, Spanish Grand Prix, Jarama. The P34 makes its racing debut. Patrick Depailler qualifies 3rd, 11 places ahead of his teammate. The car's turn-in is incredible. It rotates almost on an axis, far sharper than any conventional car. The next race at Monaco, both Tyrrells finish 2nd and 3rd behind Niki Lauda's Ferrari. Rival teams are panicking. Ferrari immediately begins sketching 6-wheeled designs. March and Williams start their own projects. Then comes Sweden, the Tyrrell P34's breakthrough moment. Jody Scheckter takes pole position. In the race, he dominates, leading Patrick Depailler to a stunning 1-2 finish. The Tyrrell P34 becomes the only 6-wheeled car in history to win a Formula One Grand Prix. The paddock is in chaos. Teams that had dismissed the P34 as a gimmick are now terrified it represents the future of Formula One. Ferrari, March, and Williams all accelerate development of their own six-wheeled cars. But there's a problem, a big one. The collapse. Goodyear stops caring. The P34's success in 1976 relied on one critical factor: Goodyear developing the tiny 10-inch front tires to match the performance improvements of their standard size tires. But Goodyear had a business problem. Those 10-inch tires were custom-made exclusively for Tyrrell. No other team used them. No road cars could use them. They were a development dead end that cost Goodyear money with zero commercial upside. So Goodyear essentially stopped developing the small tires. Meanwhile, they continued improving their standard-sized tires for every other team on the grid. Derek Gardner watched in horror as the P34's advantage evaporated. The car became increasingly unbalanced front to rear. We were running 1976 spec tires at the front and 1977 spec tires at the rear. The handling was terrible. Tyrrell tried to compensate by widening the front track to add stability, but this pushed the front wheels outside the front wing, completely defeating the entire aerodynamic advantage of the design. Jody Scheckter, who'd won with the P34 in 1976, left the team at the end of the season, calling it a piece of junk. By the end of 1977, Tyrrell abandoned the six-wheeled concept entirely. The other six-wheelers. Why they never raced. While Tyrrell struggled, other teams pursued different six-wheeled concepts. Ferrari, March, and Williams all built six-wheeled prototypes, but with a twist. Instead of 4 small wheels at the front, they used 4 driven wheels at the rear for improved traction. The Williams FW08B was reportedly multiple seconds faster than their conventional car and could run wet tires on the inner rear wheels and dry tires on the outer rear wheels simultaneously. But in 1982, before any of these cars could race, the FIA banned them. The official reason? Safety and practicality concerns. The real reason? The governing body was terrified of an engineering arms race that would make Formula One unrecognizable and price out smaller teams. The regulations were updated to specify Formula One cars must have exactly 4 wheels, no more, no less. The six-wheeler era was over before it truly began. Why this almost killed Formula One. Here's what made the six-wheeler controversy so dangerous for the sport. When the P34 won in Sweden, rival teams didn't just complain, they threatened to quit Formula One entirely if the FIA didn't clarify the rules. Ferrari argued that allowing radical redesigns like six-wheeled cars would create a technology war that only the richest teams could afford. Smaller teams like Lotus and Brabham warned they'd be forced out of the sport if they had to compete with teams building fundamentally different cars. The FIA faced a choice: allow innovation and risk losing half the grid, or ban six-wheelers and protect the sport's competitive balance. They chose the ban, but it set a precedent that haunts Formula One to this day. If an innovation is too effective, it gets banned. Fan cars with giant suction fans? Banned. Ground effect skirts that created massive downforce? Banned. Active suspension? Banned. Mass dampers that improved tire contact? Banned. The Tyrrell P34 proved that Formula One would prioritize competitive parity over engineering freedom. And teams learned a harsh lesson: don't innovate too much, or you'll be legislated out of your advantage. The legacy. The car that was too good. Today, the Tyrrell P34 is a museum piece, but in historic racing, where teams can use modern custom tires, it dominates. With proper tire development, the P34 is almost unbeatable, according to historic racing drivers. Which raises the question, what would have happened if Goodyear had kept developing those tiny tires? Could Tyrrell have won multiple championships? Could six-wheeled cars have become the standard? We'll never know, because Formula One decided the six-wheeler was too dangerous, not to drivers, but to the established order. Engineering genius versus sporting fairness. The Tyrrell P34 remains the only six-wheeled car to ever win a Formula One race, and thanks to the rules written specifically to kill it, it always will be.